Hey there, Chad here for the AI Content Dojo. And in this video, I want to cover sort of the new Frase tools that came out, the natural language generators that they've created. And you might be wondering, why am I in Shortly first then, right? Well, let's just see. I'm going to let Shortly pick the topic. So let's see if the AI assistant can help me out with that. Actually, don't need this. I'm not talking about ramen. And let's say, please, because I want to be nice, give me a topic to write about. Run instruct. See what it does. How to write a research paper, a guide to writing an essay, how to write the perfect letter of application. Let's do this. Okay. Thank you shortly. Let's put it over here into Frase and create the document. I don't know why Frase keeps on showing me that as if I'm new. I've clicked on that probably 100 times now. Okay, so if you haven't seen Frase before, what it's doing right now is it's going out over here on the right side. You can see it's going and getting information from the other top results for the term, how to write the perfect letter of application. And this would normally be where you would start to do some research. Like let's say that you know something about the perfect letter of application, but you should also learn what all the top competitors have written about it so that you, one, don't miss something that they're all talking about that clearly Google is seeing as something that's important, and two, that you also know how to make sure that your article has something different, better, unique, or something like that to help it stand out. Okay, so here are the results. First thing is if you have used Frase before, you get a little robot icon there. That little robot icon, when you click on that, what it's going to do is it's going to push this headline into your content, and then below it, it's going to generate some more headline ideas based off of this one. So let's say that we want to have a section in our article that is what is a job application letter? Let's see what kind of headlines we can get from that. How to write one, what to include. Okay, those would actually be pretty good for the content. We could use it as a sort of outline in a sense. So I'm going to leave those there as more an outline than a title. What is a job application letter? I'm just going to let that one be because that was, it's pretty good. So we'll just go down to the next thing. What else might we want to write about? Definitely not writing about creating a free account. Job application letter tips. So you can see this is an H2, it cuts down into H3s. So I have a feeling that if I do this, it should. Tips writing tips. Okay. We'll do this. We'll take that. Okay, tips. Let's take this. Bold that. Go down. And then emphasize your abilities. Okay. Can't use this. This is theirs. Tips for writing a job application letter. Okay. That was the one that the AI had created. So go down to next. Stay concise. Hey. Don't include too much. I wonder what happens if we hit it again. Does it like? All right. It gives you exactly the same thing back. Stay concise. Don't include too much. Okay, let's make that the heading because we can't steal the other content. We can't steal that content from the other article. Proofread. Make sure your letter is positive. All right, I'm going to say we're going to take the L on that one. And review the job listing keywords. Okay, let's do this. Okay, well, for sake of brevity, let's go ahead and just make that the heading. All right. Okay, so we got like a sort of mini outline kind of going. Let's say that now we want to kind of turn to answering questions. And the other tool that Frase has come out with is this Write FAQ here. So you can see that there's a Write FAQ like that for each of the sources that are in the results list. So let's say that we go down here to, what's this site? The Balance Careers, and it's ranking number 3. Because I have the SEO add-on, I can see all this data here. It's got a pretty strong domain authority, lots of backlinks. It's going to be a pretty tough one to overthrow if you're going to try an article for it. But maybe with the help of AI, we can get that done. So we're going to do write FAQ, and Frase is going to punch in a bunch of questions here. Okay, so it's got what is. It's going to start. It gives us that. So let's take this. Let's cut that. Let's put it up here. And instead of that, let's put this there. And for some reason, that's lowercase. And let's see, what should I write in a letter? Do you need to write a letter to apply for a job? What should I include in my resume? What should I use in a letter? Okay, that's just weird. Let's go and remove that. What should I include in my resume? What should I include in my letter? Why or what should I write in my letter? What's the difference between? Let's do that. Okay, so we've got sort of a little bit of an outline going, right? And now what we could do is we can copy this. We can go over here to shortly, and we could paste this in here. And this is where a nice synergy is being created between Frase and Shortly now. When one of the things you might run into when you're trying to write a sort of longish article is the outline is the king, right? You need a good, strong outline to be able to kind of flow through your whole article and create a lot of content. And not just create content that doesn't have any sense about it. It's content that follows your outline and therefore follows your intent. Because when you create your outline, don't just, hit write an FAQ that Frase has and just jam all kinds of content all together just because. Think about your article for a second. You're writing it for a person. There's an intent, right? When they do that search, when they do this search up here, right? How to write the perfect letter of application, there's something that they're looking for. Chances are, in this case, they're looking for a how-to. Like they want to write the perfect letter. That means you need to show them how to write the perfect letter of application. And so, you don't want to have just a whole ton of information about, what is it, and various other things that don't have anything to do with the action of creating or writing the perfect letter of application, right? So that's the intent that you need to focus on. So you don't want to let the AI just kind of go all willy-nilly with it, right? And so that what I mean is you don't want to just go into Frase and go, oh, look, we got this one, and we can go down here and we can click it again. We can get a ton more. What do I need? What is a cover letter? Okay. It's going on and on and on. What additional resources? And then I can come down here and look at that template lab. What we got here? 49 letter samples. Ooh, this is good. Let me do a fact here. Just copy more and more and more, right? Like you're just going to have this sort of ginormous pile of content here. And what you'll find if you try and do something like that, where you try and over allow the AI to generate all your content for you, is you're going to end up with something that's kind of diluted. And without the sort of pure focus on your reader's intent, you might kind of confuse Google a little bit. It might think that your article kind of is about 3 or 4 different things instead of that one thing that it knows should put your article first, right? So that said, don't do this. And I mean, you could, if you really wanted to try and work fast, you could just put it all there and then review it and take out the stuff that doesn't sort of fit for your article. You could do it that way. As long as you do take the time to do that, and you have a sort of outline to follow, that that outline is great for your reader's intent, then you should be good to go. You could copy this into into Shortly, and then you can start writing. So what is a job application letter? Let's fix this comma. Also known as a cover letter. Is it? Okay. Should be sent or uploaded with your resume when applying for jobs. It is a vital component to the And let's see what Shortly comes up with. Now, right now, you might realize that Shortly doesn't have a whole lot of content to work with. And while Shortly is pretty good at working even with just a little bit of context, it's probably a good idea to put something in the article brief when you're going to do this dance like this. And so you could probably write something of your own, like please write an article about how to, you could go up here, copy that, go back over into Shortly, and you could put that here, right? How to write the perfect letter. You wouldn't do this. You say write an article about, right? But you could also use Shortly to come up with something for you. You could say write an article brief for, paste that in there, and then just run that as an instruct, and it should give you something. Please write an article about how to write a letter application you're interested in. You'll highlight your skills and experience. Competition, perfect, man, that's good. And you put that here. Now, Shortly has a lot more context to work with when writing all this stuff. So this is another heading. You could even say, actually, don't do that until after you get past it. An application letter, you're opportunity to sell yourself an excellent candidate for a position. We'll go like this. Let's actually, we'll say, let's just see what the AI can come up with on its own. Now, before you start doing the dance, make sure you set this to a little. You don't want the AI to kind of run away with it and kind of go too far off into a tangent. So setting this to a little will allow you to write a little bit, let the AI write some. In this case, I'm going to see what the AI will come up with on its own right here. Imagine you were yourself writing the letter to a hiring manager to whom you are unfamiliar. Okay? You should do everything in your power to, let's see what it says, make that hiring manager believe you are the best candidate. Perfect. Okay. Here are some important tips. Okay, I've already got those outlined, so I don't need Shortly to try and give me those. Don't include too much information. Skills and abilities should be included in your letter, but don't try to include everything from your, see what it gives us. Oh, from you. Let's undo that. Did I miss that? Oh, from your. I'm sorry, Shortly, I didn't even look at it. And then we'll let it run. From your resume into a letter. Okay, yeah. Okay. Anyway, I think you kind of get the point. Is now that you can use this dance to fill in that outline, you're going to end up with an article that's going to have a really decent word count. And if you work quickly through it, like I'm showing you, at the end, you'll get to the point where it's time to edit. Then you can kind of shore it up, bring in some clarity, swap out some words to add some impact. Make sure that it reads like it's your voice, like your tone, like how you would have kind of written it. Spend that time to do that just right. Also, make sure you review it to be sure that you're purely focused on the intent for the reader. In this case, you're really, really helping them write a job application letter. And at the end of all that, go back into Shortly, or back into Frase. Let's copy this, and let's just pretend like we're done. We'll go back over into Frase. We'll go into this, we'll use the My Content tab. You can actually, one of the new features too is there's a new tab here, so you can say like from Shortly or something. We'll just do that, and we'll paste that stuff back in there, and then we'll go to the topic score, and we'll be able to make sure that we're reaching a certain score. So in this case, you got to get above 46.1%. Now, I didn't really complete the whole article. Had I done that, I probably would have more than 19.6%. You can now go through and see job seekers, prospective employers. You need to use these words in there, right? So let me go back into Shortly real quick. Another thing you can try to do, let's see, what should I write in an application letter? This is going to be, it's a question, right? So you could do something like write an answer for, let's paste that in there. And now we're going to want to make sure that it includes certain words, right? And so let's see if we can get it to include, oh, we're in the long tail. Let's go to top topics. So we got letters, skills, company, positions. managers. I'm sorry, what was that section we were talking about? Write an answer for what should I write in an application letter. Okay. Oops, don't want to show off my Facebook group just yet. So we're going to have things like employer, candidates, career, job application. Let's put managers in there. Okay, so if we go back over into shortly and we say managers. Okay, so that triple plus right there, it doesn't necessarily guarantee it's going to use that word, but it's going to try really hard to use that word. And let's see what happens. It's going to take some time. Uh-oh. Looks like it's repeating something it saw before. Let's see. Imagine yourself writing a letter to a hiring manager with whom you are unfamiliar. I could have swore that was something that... Yep, right there. Okay. All right, so sometimes the AI does that. I have a feeling that has to do with like when Shortly goes out to GPT-3 and it doesn't come back with something that's really great, then it doesn't have a lot to work with, and it just gives you a repeat. Let's cut off this a little bit. This is where the triple slash is important, so you need to learn that skill too. And we'll cut that off there so it doesn't have too much to work with. It just has over here and up here. And let's see what it comes up with this time. Oh, nice. Okay. Let's see. Did it use the word managers? No, it didn't this time. Yeah, there's no guarantee. What you can guarantee is if you put triple minus signs there, then it will guarantee that it won't use that word. But unfortunately, there are cases where the triple pluses just can't use it in the sentence, and so it won't. Okay, so anyway, you could now use this content to as like a seed to spur more content for your article. You might even do something, a nice little trick. If you do, it's going to be an instruct command, and you'd say write a... Let's see what happens when you say high level overview of the above. Or let's do for the above. And we're going to take this and cut it there. So it'll only write a high level overview for here. Let's see if we can be really kind of interesting with it. In Bill Gates' voice. Something like that. I don't know what Bill Gates' voice would be, but see what happens. Oh, well, it's using the Gates Foundation. Okay, need to be motivated, creative, and helpful. That would be good information to have as far as putting in your job application letter, though, right? Let's take out the voice thing and see what it does. What? Every once in a while the AI does come up with some really crazy stuff. Let's see what happens. Does it recreate that again if I rerun this? It came back so fast too that it almost seems like there was some kind of like cached API call or something. Oh, it's repeating. Okay, so in this case it's not really easy to show like a high level overview type of thing. Let me just real quick go over to the AI Content Dojo. And if you go to the compendium, you can see a list of all these different things that you can do. I believe the one that is about that is quintessence. Rewrite the above. Let's see if we can do something like this. And instead of using that, we'll cut this out. We'll say rewrite the above towards people who are hiring job seekers. Is that too? It's like, it feels like that's really close, but there is a space. Okay, so here we go. Run. Rewrite the above towards people who are hiring job seekers. This should be kind of interesting, I guess. Or it's going to blow up and not create anything. It's taking its sweet time this time. Okay. Let's try it again. Let's just see. Hopefully it doesn't continue to take that long to run it. I wonder if this is one of those where it's like a highly complex task for it and it's trying extra hard. It's got to think about it. Yeah, it doesn't normally take this long. Rewrite the above seems to be maybe a more difficult task for it to do. Oh, see? Looks like I might have broke shortly. But anyways, you kind of get what I mean is I mean, and that's honestly the first time I've ever seen that network error. Interesting. I'm going to keep this here so I can report that shortly and maybe get that fixed. Hopefully it doesn't happen to you when you're trying to do something similar. Anyway, this video is mostly to be about showing you how, like that synergy that you can kind of find between Frase. And so at this point, I was trying to show you kind of how you can get more content that you can then paste back here in a Frase. And when you need to do that little bit of SEO touch up, you'll see that these topic scores are over here. And these are the keywords that you need to just use inside of this content over here. So as you find certain ways of maybe fitting in the word company, fit it in over here, your score will go up. Try to get a score over this yellow line at least. Of course, 100% is best, but you don't have to kill yourself trying to do that, because there's some times where the words just you just can't fit it in your article. It doesn't make sense. Don't break the reader's intent just to appease Google, or like you think you're appeasing Google. Always focus on the reader, most important. And as far as what do I think about these Frase NLG tools, I think it's a pretty good start. It's a little bit difficult. I think that one of the things that they could probably do is give some way of controlling it a little bit. Like, especially once like this little robot click, when it creates the headline ideas, seems to be you can do it once. And if you try and do it again, it just repeats the same one. It's probably they're doing that for caching, is for performance reasons. They don't want to totally melt their servers with everybody clicking the little robot over and over. But the problem is if it produces something that doesn't fit for you, then you're kind of stuck with it. It seems like. I'm sure that they're aware of that, and I will definitely be providing that to them as feedback as well. So just keep that in mind when you're using this tool, that you get one run at it right now anyway, and if it doesn't fit, then probably have to just rewrite it on your own manually. And the FAQ, this one's a little bit, I feel like it needs more control too, because when you hit write FAQ, it kind of just blasts off and goes, and I know it's using the article source, but it's hard to tell what it is using, and it just kind of comes up with its own questions and comes up with its own answers, or I guess a partial answer. And that's really cool, the fact that it can do that. But it doesn't produce content that always is really actually in line with your intent. So you need to be careful there. Just make sure that it's generating content, but you also need to be the boss. It's your article, and you do need to be sort of the orchestrator, editor, making sure that the content is right for your article. Don't just use it as is all the time from these AI tools, whether it's Shortly or Frase or any other tool that's out there. It's your article. You need to make it the best article that you can make it. So that's it for this video. Do want to say that if you're not in the AI Content Dojo Facebook group, you should join, because we talk about all kinds of cool stuff there and help each other make the most of these tools and our content workflows. And that's it for this video. Until next time, take care.